Hey, what's going on, guys? Bflattened here with a brand new video today. Today we're going to be discussing Broken Part 3. Now, we ended up doing Annoyance, we ended up doing parts and just general items that are broken and or do not interact. You guys wanted a third part and you guys requested skills. So today we're going to be going over some characters, all 4 characters, and we're going to be going over some skills that are just completely broken on them. Some you may know because they're more obvious, some you may not know, but without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, this is going to be a community outreach, so a lot of these were either submitted by myself or some of these were submitted by people in the community. Anybody who partook in the Twitter poll, thank you so much for that, and your channels are going to be linked in the YouTube description. If I ended up missing you, please let me know, because it's going to be super important to me. This first one here is going to be on Amara. This is all going to be submitted by StoneSwan. If you don't know who StoneSwan is a very in-depth Borderlands, let's call them scientists that likes to discover really cool and unique things, and is a Amara main. So I decided to outreach to StoneSwan for some of these, because some of these I didn't even know of. So make sure to go give him the love for that. So the first one is going to be a skill called Do Unto Others. So Do Unto Others is whenever an enemy damages Amara, she automatically throws an energy orb back at them, dealing action skill damage. The animation of Do Unto Others is actually blocked by Helping Hands. So for a few seconds after using your action skill, Amara's arms remain active and grant damage reduction. If you've ever seen it before, your hands are like throwing out and blocking damage. Yeah, that animation there is completely blocked by Do Unto Others, so that means you won't spawn your energy orb to reflect to an enemy. So these two together just don't work. We've done and covered this one before, but I wanted to cover it one more time. The Fracture augment, Amara summoning a line of fists that erupt from the ground, dealing damage to enemies, is a phase slam related skill. However, this does not get the 300% increased slam damage annoyed. I have covered this one before, but I decided to throw it in here as well. While we're talking about augments, we've talked about this one before, but Expedite does not work at all. This is a really crucial augment for Amara, but it just does not work. The good news about this is that Expedite has been given a fix, so that means the file has been given to Gearbox, and they have confirmed that they are going to be fixing Expedite on the next patch. It's probably going to be set to release in a few weeks, I would expect, with the next Vault card drop. So Expedite is going to be coming soon for all you Amara mains. The skill Anima is a status effect that deals increased damage over time. Now, as we know, cryo dots do not work in this game. It just converts straight to damage. However, since this is a status effect related skill, if you have action skill element as cryo, Anima completely breaks with that, and it does not actually work. So Anima and cryo element do not work at all. Catharsis, whenever Amara triggers an elemental effect on an enemy, when that enemy dies and explodes, dealing her attuned element damage, can actually deal self-damage. That's the only downside about Catharsis. Otherwise, investing 1 point into it is pretty good, but it can deal self-damage to you. The skill in Purple Tree, Go With The Flow. Whenever Amara freezes an enemy, she gains increased movement speed and weapon damage for a short time. It procs on self-cryo damage. There's actually a benefit. If you do self-cryo damage to yourself, and you slow yourself down and or quote-unquote freeze, you can get increased movement speed and weapon damage. Doesn't have to be done on an enemy. And finally, Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker does not reset a Grasp cooldown unless Grasp ends the moment it procs. Meaning, like, if a fake Grasp happens, or if it just ends up ending as soon as it procs. It's kind of a weird one to really pull off, and it's really difficult to pull off in testing, but that is not a that is not a good thing to happen when it does happen. It does not reset a Grasp cooldown, so anything related to Amara's Red Tree, so ties that bind, things like that, does not reset. So I think that's going to cover Amara. I'm trying to keep it fairly short for each character. I'm also not doing any tests as well on this because one, either I submitted them myself or I'm pulling this from people that I absolutely trust. Ones that have done this for a very long time, probably longer than I have, and also to keep the video somewhat short. Testing will not be included with that, but I will show you and explain each skill that is broken. Next up, we're going to go into Zane. So Zane ends up having a couple ones that are fairly busted. I'm also going to be including a class one in here as well. The Executor is what I wanted to start off with, because this is not really a skill, but I wanted to throw it in here anyways. Executor can only roll with 2 points into violent violence. Normally, if a skill has, you know, either +5, +3, +1, it can roll in the maximum amount of what it can have. Violent violence is a 5 skill point skill. However, it only rolls in 2. That's why I decided to include this one, because it does interact with a skill. But yeah, you can only roll a max of 2. Inside the purple tree, Sheer Will, if I can find it. It is a stacking effect. You get action skill cooldown rate, and scoring a hit increases the effect. It does stack. Sheer Will stacking effect does not end up working with cannon. So if you get a crit with your cannon, that stacking effect does not work at all. And finally, this one was submitted by Ancient Rune and also Thiccfila. These two are resident Zane mains, so getting a reach out from them was absolutely fantastic. Distributed Denial. Now, Distributed Denial is a one where your barrier gets to the effects of shield mods. This does not work with shields. It does not work with shields at all. The way that it works is specifically shield parts. It's weird. Distributed Denial works with boosters while full when spawns, while empty for a few seconds after ending, Novas, Void Rift, and Impaler, Amp for one shot, and Reflect parts. So everything that I just mentioned there, that's what Distributed Denial ends up working with. It's very, very, very limited as to how it actually interacts and works, and it's mostly going to be for shield parts, not actual shields. The very small amount of shields, the Void Rift and Impaler, are the only ones that actually end up working with Distributed Denial. Not only is this still completely broken, it's nearly unusable. The only way that you can really end up getting it to be used for fun is probably a Beskar shield with reflect parts, and holding a Guardian Angel to end up doing increased reflected bullet damage. Well, that's literally just for fun and has no real viability whatsoever. Yeah, Distributed Denial just sucks. Next up on the list, we're going to be going into Moe's. Moe's has a pretty short list, so we'll power that one off really quickly. So Moe's Explosive Fury is a skill that ends up not working whatsoever. Explosive Fury is gaining status effect damage and status effect chance. This was tested by LazyData. So thank you for the submission from LazyData for this one. Explosive Fury does not work at all. It was tested on a usually like how I end up liking to test on a very low scale. So not like Mayhem 10, for example, all the way down as low as possible, no skill points and things like that. There is no increase of dot whatsoever from this, and the chance does not increase whatsoever. So not only is it broken, it is broken. Why I have it invested on this character, I have no idea, but I gotta change that. And finally, Superior Firepower. We've talked about this one before, and I'm pretty sure it's fairly well known now. Whenever Moe's or Iron Bear inflicts a status effect on an enemy, they gain increased status effect damage. Now, it does not work with Cryo Dots because Cryo Dots don't exist. What ends up happening is that Superior Firepower gets confused with cryo damage. It does not hit itself in its own confusion, but it does get confused. It takes that status effect damage and just converts it purely into cryo damage. So whenever you get 5 stacks of it, that's 100% bonus cryo damage specifically. which is great if you have a cryo-based Moze build. Check out Froze Moze that I have on YouTube under my Borderlands build, and you'll see the true power of superior firepower. That's going to do it for Moze, which ends up leaving Flak. Now, Flak ends up having a lot of attention paid to the character as of recent. There was a lot of skills that was broken with Flak previously. For those who are Flak mains, head count was broken for a very long time. It seems to be working in its full capacity now, which is nice. Very main heavy skill for Flak. There was times where Rage and Recover was broken, currently fixed. Eager to Impress, 4 out of 5. It was the one that was preferred because 5 out of 5 Eager ends up breaking. That was ending up getting fixed. But we have to talk about the purple tree. There's a lot wrong with the purple tree. For our Flak mains and even non-Flak mains know that purple tree is quite the meme. However, the thing I wanted to talk about specifically, this one is my own submission. So go ahead and check me out, I guess. Is Barbaric Yop along with the pet for purple tree. So any of the loaders. Now, what Barbaric Yop ends up doing is increasing the power of pet's bonuses granted to Flak by 200% at 5 out of 5 or 400% at 10 out of 5. Now, the reason why this is really, really good is because it improves all the passives that your pet passes over to Flak. So a lot of people like to do it, myself included, with Spider and Scorcher. If you don't have Barbaric Yop, health regen is only 1% of health regen. That one doesn't really matter. The elemental damage, however, is only 10% at 0 out of 5. If you have 5 out of 5, it's 30%. If you have 5 out of 5, it is 50%. Those passives do not improve whatsoever with any of Flak's loaders. So, for example, I wanted to do a shield capacity Flak at one point, and this is how I found out it does not work. The Bull loader has a shield capacity of 20% that passes over to Flak. I'm going to go ahead and test this one out just because this one is really easy to test out. So, 20% shield capacity. Let's go ahead and invest points into it. The point distribution doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting Bull loader. So shield capacity is 20%. Now let's go ahead and invest into Barbaric Yop as if we're going to be doing a shield capacity related Flak. So we'll go ahead and invest into Barbaric Yop. That should be 200% extra, which should be getting me more shield capacity, which it does not. I'm going to go ahead and switch out the pet. Fire rate 12%. Shield capacity is still 20%. It does not improve whatsoever. There is no passive change at all. So this one is a huge loss. Because if you wanted to do a loader-based shield capacity or even fire rate related passive for your character, nothing happens at all. It's just broken. It looks like we ended up doing about 10 with a couple of bonus broken skills in there. If you ended up liking this video, make sure to go ahead and toss as much love as possible on here. This one took a very long time to end up getting together because there was a lot of editing process that needed to be done, a lot of submissions from a lot of different people, and also a lot of testing that needed to go into all of these skills to make sure that they are indeed broken. If there are some that you knew about and some that you didn't know about, perfect. I wanted to try to get as much attention on these skills that people don't know about as possible. So any love would be appreciated because this one took a lot longer than I expected. So I appreciate that a ton. I will see you guys on the next video. My name is Bflattened, and I'm signing on out of here. Take care all. Laters.